At On the Horn, we guarantee 60 minutes every hour. Or your money back. onthehorn.com.
Experts say consumers paying more for power now. Updated labor report shows mixed results. Local lawyer sued by Judge Judy. Legislature considers banning GMO grass. Not that kind of grass. State officials enter passionate debate over physician-assisted suicide bill and the political roundup. State House Speaker proposes allowing nonprofits to be taxed. Governor calls U.S. Speaker Boehner's comments reprehensible. Merrill not ready to mandate electronic reporting of elections. And new bill creates PTSD coverage under workers' compensation for first responders. Good evening and welcome to the 119th edition of News Talk Tonight. I'm Dave Moore, your host of News Talk Tonight. News Talk Tonight is brought to you by Amazon.com, Standards Travel, Sherpa Technologies, Budwitz and Meyerjack CPAs, Deepwater Seafood of Avon, and CentralCTDental.com. Wherever you are on the World Wide Web, take us along with you. Thousands have listened. You can too on demand at iTunes, Stitcher, and of course, onthehorn.com. I also need to thank, as always, CT News Junkie Doug Hardy and Christine Stewart for allowing me to use ctnewsjunkie.com as my primary news source. And frankly, there is no better news source in Connecticut than ctnewsjunkie.com. And now for the serious and silly 6 Connecticut news. 2 independent experts issued a report last week that showed that a significant majority of Connecticut residents who signed up for electronic suppliers other than Connecticut Light and Power or United Illuminating were paying more than the standard rates offered by CLMP and UI. Susan Baldwin, an independent consultant, and Helen Golding, a former general counsel for the Massachusetts Department of Public Utilities, studied the rates being offered in Connecticut, and their report showed that 87% of Connecticut residents not signed up with CLMP and 70% of residents not signed up with UI to supply their power were paying more than the rates offered by CLMP and UI. Said Baldwin and Golding in their conclusion, quote, "The fact that a vast majority of suppliers' residential customers throughout the state pay more than if they purchase the standard offer suggests that the market is not functioning properly as it is presently structured or regulated." End quote. The study reviewed rates that were charged between September 2013 and January 2014. That study is considered conservative as it avoids the spikes that normally come in the winter months. Many customers have complained to state regulators because their rates became variable without sufficient notice that they would be switched to variable rates. This last Friday, the State Labor Department issued an employment report that updated the December numbers, as well as the 2013 annual numbers. And depending on who you talk to, the numbers improved. The revised December figures showed that the state had 12,300 more folks employed in December than had originally been estimated, and that the state unemployment rate was revised down from 7.6% to 7.4%. The state unemployment rate dipped further to 7.2% in the month of January. But the state also shed 10,400 jobs in January, which the Labor Department attributes to bad winter weather. It is expected that the February report will likewise be negatively impacted due to bad winter weather. The Department of Labor expects that if bad winter weather is the reason for the job losses in January and possibly in February, then the better weather of spring should reverse the trend. The job recovery rate, in other words, the number of jobs that we have been able to recover since the Great Recession of 2009, was revised upward from 49% to 49.7%. There's a certain lawyer in the Hartford-Springfield market who has been advertising on TV, on billboards, and on his website. And those advertisements may have gone too far, as he's being sued in federal court because of them. Judy Scheinlin, who is portrayed as Judge Judy on TV, is suing attorney John Heyman and his law firm for using her likeness in his TV and website ads. Scheinlin, who has been on TV for 18 years, has stayed away from using any personal endorsements in order to protect the brand name that she has developed over those 18 years. The ads, which appeared on WCTX-TV in the New Haven, Hartford market and WWLP-TV in Springfield during each station's broadcast of the Judge Judy show, as well as appearing on Heyman's website, alternate actual clips from the Judge Judy show with clips of attorney Heyman and his daughters. Scheinlin claims in her lawsuit that CBS TV gave notice to Heyman in March 2013 that the ads were not permitted, and that in April 2013 the ads were removed from Heyman's website and YouTube clips, but that as recently as March 6, 2014, the unauthorized ads reappeared on local television stations. Scheinlin has said that if she wins her suit for trademark infringement, she will donate the net proceeds to charity. Pesticidal Armageddon is coming unless Connecticut bans genetically modified grass, according to the supporters of a new bill before the state legislature. Opponents, like Scott's Miracle-Gro, say that the bill is overkill and premature. Senate President pro tempore Donald Williams, Democrat of Brooklyn, is trying to add language banning genetically modified grass seeds and genetically modified landscape plants to an existing bill which would expand restrictions on using pesticides on school grounds and other public land. The reasoning behind the newly proposed ban is that agricultural companies are developing grass seeds that are resistant to the chemical glyphosate, the main ingredient in herbicides, such that consumers would overuse the herbicide. Additionally, organic farmers could not feed the GMO grass to their cattle, or else they would risk losing their organic labeling. A spokesman for Scott's said that there is a modified grass seed in development, but that there are no sales at the moment, and that the seeds are a long-standing effort on the part of Scott's to create more resilient types of grass. Said Lance Latham of Scott's, quote, "A ban on these products before they are developed seems a bit counterproductive," end quote. Both State Attorney General George Jepsen and State Comptroller Kevin Lembo testified in favor of the physician-assisted suicide bill at a hearing yesterday on the bill before the Public Health Committee. Said Jepsen, quote, "The state has no compelling interest on preventing terminally ill patients from choosing to end their lives," end quote. Lembo told the committee that he sees the issue as a matter of personal choice, and that he would want the choice for himself if he had a terminal illness. Opponents to the bill included people with disabilities who were concerned that doctors would use the law, to convince the disabled to end their lives prematurely. James McGaughey, Executive Director of the Office of Protection and Advocacy for Persons with Disabilities, said a similar policy adopted in the Netherlands is not working, and that, quote, "Surveys reveal that many Dutch doctors now consider having a long-term disability with a, quote, poor prognosis, end quote, for improvement as justification for writing a lethal prescription," end quote. Lembo cited statistics from Oregon that showed that 1,050 people had prescriptions for lethal medication and 673 people used them, pointing out that not all lethal prescriptions were or would be used. Said Lembo, quote, "It is clear that having the option, having the choice, and having the medication is sometimes enough to weather any suffering," end quote. Now for the political roundup. Saying that he wanted to turn the tax system on its head, State House Speaker Brendan Sharkey, Democrat of Hamden, has proposed allowing colleges and hospitals to be assessed property taxes and retooling an existing grant program to allow them an ability to recoup some of the taxes paid. Right now, the pilot PILOT program allows municipalities to recover up to 32% of the lost revenues to nonprofits, and Sharkey would have the nonprofits apply for the grant to recoup some or most of their tax payments. Governor Daniel P. Malloy took aim at another top Republican national leader when he wrote to U.S. House Speaker John Boehner. Malloy called Boehner's characterization of how some states, Connecticut included, were cheating and engaging in fraud for shifting benefits to support food stamp or SNAP programs as, quote, reprehensible. State Secretary of State Denise Merrill, Democrat, asked the state legislature not to pass a bill mandating that municipalities report elections to her electronically. Merrill says that such technology is possible, but that the specific program to do so is still in development. The legislature's Public Safety Committee approved a bill that would allow first responders like teachers and police officers who witness tragic events to qualify for workers' compensation benefits, particularly for PTSD, and that the effective date of the legislation would go back to December 14th, 2013. The bill would then specifically include the first responders at the Sandy Hook Elementary Massacre. Well, that's the Connecticut Serious and/or Silly 6 for tonight. I'm Dave Moore, and I thank you for joining me on the 119th edition of News Talk Tonight on onthehorn.com. The show has been brought to you by Amazon.com, Sandits Travel, SurePit Technologies, Budwitz and Meyer Jack CPAs, Deepwater Seafood of Avon, and CentralCTDental.com. Please also remember to tune in tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. for the Black Eyed and Blue Show, hosted by the team of Brian Lee and the ever-irrepressible Brian Parker. Join me again for next week for another edition of News Talk Tonight. And remember, spring is just around the corner. Really, it's coming on Friday. I swear. See you again next week, folks.
No! The guys who had to choose between online radio or underwater pole vaulting.
I don't understand what's going on here.
It was an easy choice.
Oh, yeah.
On the Horn.
onthehorn.com.